Yo, you a savage. You killing them, right? But also it comes with a pressure. And that's something we talked about on the stage, right? So you as a Black woman, as an executive, what kind of pressure did you feel to, one, bring the ladder down and also still, succeed and reach farther than where you were? Like, what was that like?
So much pressure, especially because, as you get more senior, there's just less oversight. So it
Yeah.
really is on you. The perks of being a coordinator is you're like, well, I was just doing what you told me to do. But as you get more senior, it's like, no, this was Imani's idea. And so, for example, I was a VP and working on a lot of shows. And there were a lot of times that I had ideas that they hadn't done before. So, for example, I was the first person to say, hey, instead of just sending this clip out as a press release, let's release it on social media. Let's give it to the Shade Room. And people were like, no, you got to remember, this isn't today, right? Now this wasn't today. This was back 8 years ago. So people were like, why would we? But we always do it this way. And I'm like, yeah, but social media, that's where the eyeballs are. So I was able to I go and read these, blogs every day. We should support the blogs that are supporting our shows. And so what I started to realize is like when you really have support, and I had a boss, I had a boss who really was my quarterback. Like she would correct me in private and praise me in public. And so we were cooking together, but the pressure was crazy because I wasn't able to separate at the time my job and my identity. I didn't know the difference. And so in every room, I was a vice president at NBC. I couldn't not talk about work because I worked in public relations and my job was to constantly obsess over my talent and to make sure that I was protecting their image. And so it wasn't until I would say the last year working that I was able to this is who I am and this is what I do. It's more than a title.
Message. Go. Hit him with a home. Please hit him with a home. Clipping that right.
You said something and we love it, but we can't speed past it because here's the thing, Imani. Your success story is an anomaly. It's almost impossible to get promoted 8 times anywhere in 10 years. From coming in at the level that you came in from to getting to a VP status. We know VP status sometimes is minimum 10, 15 years for the first, you know what I mean? And this is coming in at a senior manager level and then elevating past that. My question to you is this. When you came in the capacity that you came into, we're talking about planning. Did you actually know where you wanted to go? Or did you just try to get your foot in the door and then take opportunity? Because this is something that we have to teach our people and our culture about getting a job. It's not only about getting the job, it's having a plan of knowing where you want to go and a pathway to get there. So I would like you to tell the people, did you actually have a pathway? Was it your vision to become a VP? Or did you just get your foot in the door and then just say, I'm going to roll with whatever comes my way and then see how far I can climb this ladder?
I love that question because I think you're exactly right. It's like you need a target even if the target changes. Because once you learn more about it, you can be like, oh, I thought I liked spaghetti. I hate spaghetti. I like Alfredo. But I never would have known if I hadn't tried the spaghetti, right? Like you got to just get in there. I thought I wanted to be a talent agent. And so I interned at CAA. And my manager at the time was like, I think you should be a publicist. I'm like, what's a publicist? I don't know what that is. And he was like, it's kind of what you're doing now. You're working with talent, you're representing them, but you're doing their kind of public perception and you don't have to go to law school. And I was like, well, great. I don't want to go to law school. I don't. Once I left Vanderbilt, I was like, I don't want to ever go to school again. There's nothing wrong with school, but I was like, I want a job. And so again, I've always known very specific things about myself. Like, I knew a lot of people wanted to get their MBA, and I think that's amazing. I was like, I'd rather get my MBA actually being an entrepreneur, like on the go. Let's do that. And so I told myself and I told God that I would like to be a vice president by the time I was 30. But it did not happen in a linear line. What I mean by that, remember, take you back to when I was a coordinator, right? It was rough. And what was happening was I had been a coordinator for 2 years and the other coordinators were all getting promoted and I wasn't. It even got to the point where I was like, oh, am I going to be stuck here forever? And what ended up happening was 3 people above me all left for different reasons. One got engaged, one got pregnant, one went to a different job. But it just opened up a bunch of slots. And one of my mentors at the time said, I was scared because I was like, who's about to do all that work? But one of my mentors at the time said, whenever something looks like it's chaos, find the benefit in the chaos. And your benefit is that now with these 3 people gone, you know how to do their job. You've been watching them do their job. So I went into my boss's office and I was like, I know you have all these shows that need a publicist. I know I'm just a coordinator, but I could kind of, be a Band-Aid solution. I knew I didn't want to be a Band-Aid solution. I wanted to be the real solution, but she gave me these shows as a coordinator. I was way too junior to have these shows. And those were kind of the opportunities I was looking for. But I say that to say I stayed in that coordinator role 2.5 years, kind of being a little overlooked, honestly. I wasn't even though as a child I was very outgoing, when I got to New York, something strange happened. Everybody was outgoing. And when everyone's outgoing, I don't compete for the outgoingness. I just get quiet. Like, I'm not going to out-talk you. I'm just going to watch. And when I got to New York and everybody was the loudest person in the room, I became like an introvert overnight. I was like, Brooklyn is, what?
And yeah.
This is crazy.
What's going on?
Hate it.
So much. And but after that stint in 2 years, then I was almost getting promoted once a year after that. That 2 years was so much learning. Can I tell y'all, I was so happy at that job. I used to skip down the hall, literally skip. I was so happy because at NBC, you're in the elevator. You get in the elevator. Jimmy Fallon is in the elevator. You get in the elevator because the studios are stacked in the building. So you get in the elevator. Whoever's going to be, on the show that night, SZA is in that. It's just great. I was so happy. So I'm skipping down the hall. Wow. One day, my boss goes, Imani, come here. She goes, shut the door. I said,
what the is wrong with this guy? Am I getting there?